We're on page 12. Let's go over our pre-cuts here. We cut a 6 by 6 piece. We labeled it inside fold out. We laid it on our scoring board. Of course, we're 6 inches across. We scored at a 1/2 inch and 5/8 inch. Next, what we did was we cut a 6 1/4 by 8 inch piece. We called this middle fold out. We laid this so we were 6 1/4 across the board. We scored at a 1/2 inch, and then we scored this at 11/16 inch. So you just kind of have to use your ruler, make a mark, and score. And middle fold out. Next, we cut a 5 inch by 5 3/4 inch. We labeled it outside FO. FO means fold out. And we laid this on our board so we were 5 3/4 across, and we scored at a 1/2 inch, and we scored at 5/8 inch. Next, we had a 2 1/4 inch by 6 1/4 inch, and we labeled that inside FO pocket, fold out pocket. And last one, 4 1/8 by 6 1/4. We labeled that middle fold out pocket. Okay, let's get started. In your paper pack, you will have this print. On the back, it's this. We're going to turn it so we're kind of sideways like this. We're going to measure over 8 inches and cut. Now we're going to measure over 6 inches and cut. Stick this piece off to the side. It's for our next page. Let's start with our 6 by 6 fold out. And all we're going to do, we're going to fold on our score lines, burnish it down really good, and then we're going to attach this. Okay, you have an inside score line and an outside. On the outside one, let's pinch. Let's place this and try to center that top to bottom, and glue down our hinge. And then what we'll do is we'll just push that back. We're going to grab our 6 1/4 by 8 inch middle fold out, and we're going to fold on those score lines. For this one, I'm going to push it back so on the side it feels flat. So it looks like this. This should hook right back behind the other one. And make sure you are even top and bottom. Pinch and hold. And let's tack this down. And I have mine down a little bit. What I'm going to do here is make sure that it's tacked down really good. So I'm going to carefully open this and burnish that. Okay, so we have that and that. Let's start with the inside. In your reserves, you will have this piece, and what we're going to do is divide these two. So we'll put them on our paper cutter and then we can trim to fit. We're going to take this one and we're going to flip it over. And what we're going to do is, you can see where your outside score line is, so that's where we're going to measure from. But side to side, what we're going to try to do is, and I'm going to leave it so I can see what I'm doing here, is we're going to try and get this even centered. And I'm just going to go with it how I am here. And make sure you, when you cut, you're giving yourself enough room on either side. So I'm going to cut here and here to start. Okay, the next thing that we're going to want to do is, and I measured myself side to side, and I gave myself enough white border. I have about 1/8 inch of white border on either side here. Now for this, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut, here's the top, I'm just going to cut this white piece off. Let's lay our pocket. We'll place score tape at the bottom here. And I have a 2 1/4 by 6 1/4. And it says inside fold out pocket. And we are going to lay that as soon as I find my tool here. Give a little bend. Make sure you have overhang. We'll flip it over and tack these down. In your reserves you will find this, and we already cut the butterflies out. We're going to divide it. Now put this on your paper cutter, and wherever you see where you can cut straight down and it will leave a straight edge, do so. Alright, I'm going to put this piece back in reserves. Here's my piece. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to push this down at the bottom of my piece. I'm going to take my pencil, make a pencil mark so that I can still have a white border at the top, and I'm going to trim. Okay, the next part's the easy part. I'm just going to come straight down underneath all the way to the bottom where I think this needs to go, and I'm going to trim to fit here and here. I'm not going to put a trim border on this one. I'm just going to apply glue and glue that down. We're ready to apply glue to this, and we will center that on the inside and glue it down. Let's close that. Home is where the heart is, and that's going to go right there on the cover. So this should already have a straight edge on it and a little bit of border. We're going to leave that border, and we're just going to come down from the white cardstock maybe about a 1/16 of an inch, and we will come down from the purple about the same, and we're going to trim that. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is look side to side at my fold out, my cardstock, and also the purple. And that's going to tell me, as soon as I see that the purple has the same amount of overhang, I'm going to come in about a 1/16 of an inch here and here, and it looks like it's going to be right at the edge almost of that frame. And I'm going to cut. Verify you fit. So I'm going to place this down, and I'm going to have a little bit of a sliver of white here, and I can still see some white over here. I'll center this top to bottom and glue that down. Grab your outside fold out, the 5 by 5 3/4. Let's just close that really quick. We're going to turn it around so our score lines are over here. Let's fold on those score lines. Okay, so my writing is going to be upside down because my hinge is over here. You have an inside score line and an outside one. You're going to bring this, whoops, center as best you can. Pinch and hold it after you wrap it around. Okay. Once you have that, let's just fold. And then we'll push so it's straight over there. Okay, so let's just open these up so we can see where we're at. Grab this piece out of reserves. It's what we cut on. Put this on your paper cutter, and you see where the dark is? We're just going to cut straight down. In your reserves, you will find this print on the back. It looks like this. This piece measures approximately 5 1/4 inches this way and about 4 1/8 this way. Okay, so what we're going to want to do, and I'm going to double mine up, match them up at the top there. I'm going to measure over 4 7/8 inch and cut. Once you have that, we're going to apply glue. We'll center that side to side. We'll leave a little white border at the top. We'll glue that down, and then we'll just glue this down too, leaving a border. We're going to place a magnet now. We could have placed it under the paper, but I want to put it on top. And we'll come in 3/4 of an inch about, and we're going to place that. You should have this tag in your reserves. On the back it looks like this. We're going to fussy cut up and around this piece. I am going to apply glue to the back of this, and I'm going to glue this down just like that. There. And I think that looks good. Let's move on to this side. In your reserves, you should have a piece that is approximately, what, 5 1/4 or 5 3/8 wide. And it is about 6 1/4 long, between 6 1/8 and 6 1/4 long. This will fit perfectly. Find this piece. On the back it looks like this. And make sure that you are fitting. The long way will come down here, and we are going to be short. But this is where I'm going to show you how to piggyback white cardstock underneath. And it's very simple, and because we have a pocket that's going to be going over it. So what I want to do is look in my reserves for some cardstock. I know that I need to be, and it may be easier if you just stick your paper here rather than getting all technical. I'm going to stick this down to where I have a white border. I'm going to find a piece of cardstock that if I was to lay down over it, I'm about a 1/4 inch overhang over this. Okay, and I still have a border. That's what I want. So I want to make sure that this piece is the same width. So I will just double these up. Wish me luck. I'm going to hand cut this, guys. So they're the same. Now we're going to lay this on something flat. And I got my scoring board here. And remember, we're going to be, at this point, we're going to be about 6 1/8 long. And all we're going to do is apply a row of 1/4 inch score tape down here, because this is going to go underneath that. And then it makes our page 8 inches long. So get this backing off. I'm going to stick this at the 8 inch mark, and it's flush against there. I'll stick this down and overlap right on top of it. Make sure you cover that score tape. And there you are. Now what I want to do is, since I put mine down to be about 8 inches, it's going to be too long, so I'm going to trim it to fit. I'm going to measure over 7 7/8 inch and cut. Now try and see if you fit nicely. And you should. This should fit and leave a border here. In your reserves, you will have this piece on the back. It looks like this. We're going to apply glue to this, and we're going to put this towards the top. Let's grab our middle fold-out pocket. We'll give it a little bend there. We'll apply our score tape. Burnish that down. Make sure I have sides. And we are going to have a decorative trim for this. And we will wrap our flaps around the back and glue them down. In your reserves, you will find this 12-inch long piece. On the back, it looks like this. So I am just going to place this down at the bottom. You'll know it's a perfect fit. Top and bottom wise, we're going to measure to fit. So let's cut. All right, everyone, including people who are going to be punching, let's apply glue to that side and glue that down. People who are trim punching, you'll trim punch and leave yourself about a 1/4 inch of a white border up there, and you will place this across yours. Die cutters. Die cutters, I am back in the Petite Pocket Accents. I am in this die plate. I'm going to look in my reserves. I found this. It's perfect width because I still have enough to get around there. So I'm going to die cut this. Die cutters, we're going to apply our glue right across here, down through here. We'll line it up and we'll make sure that we are centered with this, and anything hanging over can wrap to the back. Here's mine. I'm going to apply glue now to this, and I'm going to mount that. Perfect. We'll just fold that in. Let's find the mate to that. We'll place that down. We'll add a dab of glue to the middle. Make sure your side is where it's supposed to be. You may want to give a little bend to this one, just a slight curve, and let it fall. Press and find where that magnet goes. There. Let's find our paper. In your paper pack, you will find this sheet. On the back, it looks like this. Measure over 5 3/8 inch and cut. Let's turn it looking like this. Measure over 7 7/8 inch and cut. Apply glue. Mount that, centering it, leaving yourself a white border. That looks good. Let's flop that over. It should attach. We're going to need a couple things. In your reserves, you will find a strip like this. It's approximately, what is that, 6 3/4 wide and about 1.5 inches this way. This was the leftovers off of this. Okay, we're going to use it. So what we're going to do here is we're going to turn this like this, and we're going to measure to fit, leaving yourself a white border. So this is where I want to trim. So I'm going to cut that. Now put this up, match them up here, and that's going to tell you where you need to cut this one down. So I'm going to trim this one. The first one I'm going to place is this one. I'll apply glue, leaving myself a little border there. And then I'm going to apply glue to this one, and it's going to overlap on top, making sure I have a border over here. Let's start there. Alright, in your reserves you should have this. Let's cut out and around this, leaving a little bit of the purple border. So the best thing to do, because we're going to have this, use this one too, is just stick this on your paper cutter, cut halfway in between these two on the purple and here. And then we'll trim around to make the trim the same like we did before. Okay, I have my two pieces. We'll just put them down there. Cut a piece of cardstock that is 4 1/16 by 8 1/8. Lay this on your scoring board so that you are 8 1/8 inch across. Score at 4 1/16 and then fold. Our opening is going to be to the right. We'll apply glue to this and we will place it down. If you need to trim yours down first a little more so that you have a white border, do so. Okay, we're going to open this up and grab a magnet, and we're going to place it about 3/4 inch in. We'll apply glue to this side once you verify it's going to fit, and we'll glue that down. Now close it. Put your magnet on the back until it finds its place, and we're going to glue that down. This was something a little extra I thought would be nice. And we'll just glue that down. This page is complete. Flip it over, add your score tape around the outside like a picture frame, one down the middle, and I think you'll be okay with one on either side. To mount this one, because it's kind of crazy, we got left, right, and it's kind of a fun design. To make sure that I get this on there even, I'm actually going to open it up like this. And I'll make sure I am 1/8 inch away down here. So I'm just going to kind of place that. And I'll tap that down here. Line myself up down here. And then I'm going to push this back. That is the easiest way for me to get this page on straight. And then, of course, we'll burnish that down really good. Your last page is this. Apply score tape around the outside like a picture frame, one down the middle and one on either side. And when you mount this, you will mount this centered. Okay, I got that down, and we're just going to close this up for now, because now let's get our paper for the outside. In your reserves, you will find this long print. We are 12 inches, I believe. Yep. And we are approximately 8 inches this way. Measure over 3 7/8 inch and cut. Measure over again 3 7/8 inch and cut. These are both 3 7/8 inch. Double them up. Measure over 6 7/8 inch and cut. For these, you're going to want to use, we're going to flip these over. You're going to want to use score tape around your outside edges. If you want to use glue inside, that's fine. I'm going to use my 3/8 inch, and I'm going to go around each one like a picture frame. I'm also going to lay a couple strips in here, but if you prefer to use your glue, you can. Okay, so I've got my first one done. I'm going to remove the score tape. On the outside, it's going to fit like a frame. Once you do that, make sure you burnish really good, especially towards the top, so your lid does not catch. And once you get the score tape on this one, you'll do it for the opposite side, because we're not working on the large sides yet. So let's do that. I've got mine on. Now let's get our other sides. In the last page of your paper pack, which looks like this, we're going to turn it so the writing is sideways. Measure over 3 7/8 inch and cut. Measure over again 3 7/8 inch and cut. Now what you're going to want to do is just double these up. Measure over 8 7/8 inch and cut. You're going to do the same thing. We'll flip it over, score tape around the outside like a picture frame, and a couple down the middle, or use your glue. And then we're going to place them the same way. You should have this. This is about 12 inches long. Measure over 1/4 inch and cut. Measure over again 1/4 inch and cut. So this is what you should have. Double these up. Measure over 3 7/8 inch and cut. These should fit right down here. And when you place this, you will place this up so you still have a little bit of a white border here, and you will have a white border to the left and the right of the spine. So we're going to glue that one down here, and then we're going to do the same for up at the top. We're going to glue this down, centering side to side, leaving a little bit of a white border. This is where we're going to be reinforcing our page hinges. So what we're going to do is turn our paper. Let's go, actually, so that we all, because we placed our stuff and we may have placed our page higher or lower than each other, I want you to take your ruler and measure from the top of your purple paper here to the bottom of your purple paper here. So for me, that's about 8 7/8 inch. So I'll measure over that and cut. Measure over 1 1/8 inch and cut. Before you apply glue to this, make sure that you're going to fit in there, still leaving your little white border. You can match up the corners of this with the corners of your paper down there. So once you have that, let's glue that down. Make sure you're not interfering with your hinge there. You should be, if you placed them right, you should be where this needs to be. So we're just going to make sure we burnish that down really good. Let's grab this. So on this piece, what you're going to want to do, you'll measure over 3/8 inch and cut. You'll continue to keep measuring over 3/8 of an inch and cutting until you have 6 3/8 inch strips. So let's do that. This is my 6 pieces that are 3 inch wide, and they're as long as what I had originally measured. I have this piece left, and I'll just stick this off to the side. The first thing we're going to do is open up our first page here. We're going to apply glue. We'll match it up with the top, and it should come down match with the bottom, and we're going to glue that down. And that should fit right in between your hinges perfectly without interfering with it. And we're going to continue to do that through each page. Now we have one more thing to reinforce that hinge. That piece we have left over, measure over 3 7/8 inch and cut. I started to cut before I filmed. Measure over 5/16 of an inch and cut. Measure over again 5/16 inch and cut. Okay, what this piece is we're going to apply glue, and we're going to come right over the top, and that should fit, and the bottom one will go over the bottom, and that will ensure those hinges do not come up from the weight. So let's do that. I've got mine down, and I think that that looks really good. Okay, for this, in your paper pack, you will have this print on the back. It looks like this. So we're going to turn it, looking at it like this. We're going to measure over 3/8 inch and cut. Measure over again 3/8 inch and cut. With both of these strips, what you're going to do is just double them up. And we'll measure over 8 7/8 inch and cut. We're going to do this in steps. So take your piece. So we're just going to line that up and make sure that we are even top to bottom, and we'll glue that down. And we will also do the same with this one, making sure that where the bottom of this one hits, the bottom of this one's going to hit. Okay, for this one, we'll grab this back. We are going to measure over 3/8 inch and cut, and we're going to measure over 1/2 inch then and cut, just to make sure that we're even. I'm going to use, I have this piece here, and I'm going to use it, and check to see if you are wider up here than you are down here, you'll use the 1/2 inch. If you're perfectly the same, you'll still use the 1/2 inch. So what I want to do on this one is I'm going to measure over 6 7/8 inch and cut. On this one, I'm going to put this at the top, and I'm going to center this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the side here where my trim is, and I'm going to do the same over here. And I centered this in the middle, and then I'm going to trim, and that should be about 6 7/8. Once you have your pieces cut, glue them down. Down here you have an option to use this side or this. I'm going to use this side, and I'm going to place that. Our book looks good. The only thing that I want to do is I want to go back to this page. This is the page where we needed to place some cardstock. In your reserves, you should find 2 of these pieces. They are identical. And if you can't locate these, then you can always cut. But what I'm going to do is glue one down here, and I'm going to glue one up top here. And you can always trim this one a little bit more if you'd like. In your reserves, you will find this cutting, this little trim piece. And if you were to place it down, it is just about the same width there. I'm going to be trimming off about a 1/16 of an inch so that it matches. And also in your reserves, you will find this piece. And all we're going to do for this is we will lay it up against, and we will measure to fit. I cut my pieces and I glued this down. On this one, what I did was I left a white space in between. And I can still journal in the lighter areas of this if I wanted to. Grab this out of your reserves, and what I want you to do is you can just pinch this piece off. Makes no difference. But what we're going to do on this, we're going to lay this down so that we are even on the sides of our piece. And we're going to make a pencil mark where that purple trim is, and we're going to cut. That's our first task. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to want to do is just bring this down to how far I want it to go. And I'm pulling it over so I can see where the edge is. I'm going to make a pencil mark where the bottom of the trim is, and I will cut off this uneven area. So you have a choice. Double check yourself. We'll apply glue and glue that down, or you can take the reverse side and glue it down. I really like the reverse side a lot better for journaling. So I'm going to apply my glue and glue that down. This leftover piece, what we're going to do is we are going to, let's make this real easy. You should have, from when we fussy cut around the trim, put this on your paper cutter and just cut straight down to even up our side. Perfect. And we're going to measure to fit for this one. It's down. We have one more to go. We have this piece and it is perfectly suitable, so I am going to measure to fit on this one as well. So I know I need to come up right here, and I need to be about right here. So I'm going to cut, and then I'll glue down my piece. Next, what I'm going to do is the same thing for down here. I'm going to measure to fit. Mine is complete. Alright, so what I wanted to do is, let's just close that up. If you notice that it will sit nicely for you so you can get that lid on. There we go. Okay, for those of you that got uneven around here, there is leftover paper for you to cut little strips to even yourself up, as well as here. So check your reserves first to see what you got that you can run around. There's this piece, and that would look absolutely fine on there. Okay, next thing, inside the lid. For me, all I want to do is I'm just going to cut a piece of cardstock to lay in there. I am not going to do anything with the black in here. If you want to do so, you can. One thing is, remember, you have to use score tape because you don't want, when you're putting your lid on, you don't want it to catch and start tearing. And that's why I'm going to leave mine alone. You've noticed when putting on you might catch a little on this lip. It's not a big deal. So let's just cut a piece of white cardstock for now. So we're going to cut a piece of cardstock that is 7 1/8 inch by 9 1/8 inch. This piece will fit comfortably. Now, because it's inside of a box, when you do this, you're going to want to push it when you put your score tape down. you'll want to first put it in there and make sure you fit. But the easiest way is, if you're using glue, you're definitely going to have to make sure that you burnish it down. I'm going to use score tape because I cut this slightly smaller than the inner lid, so it'll be easy to get down, and I don't have to worry about missing anything with the glue. So when I place this, I'm going to go right up against first, and then just let it flop in, and then I'll burnish it down. My score tape backing is off, and again I'm going to show you just how easy. Just slide that in until it hits the wall and let it fall, and then you can burnish it down. This concludes the album in a box tutorial, and I hope that you have enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun to make. I'll see you soon in the YouTube hop. Happy crafting, everybody.